I'm Melissa Samuels, Director of Alumni Programs at the Albany Alumni Association. Welcome to tonight's program on renting in New York City. Before we get started, I wanted to go over just a couple of housekeeping items. First, we are recording this webinar, so it will be available at a later date for you to view again. I'll be sending everybody the link to the recording once it's ready. Also, we will be doing Q&A tonight at the end of the program, probably about the last 15 to 20 minutes. So if you have questions for our speakers, please make sure you put those in the Q&A section, not in the chat tab. We might miss them there. So let's get started. Let me introduce our speakers tonight. Jordan Cooper is a partner with Cooper & Cooper Real Estate, and Teah Sisti, class of 2017, is a licensed real estate salesperson with the company. Cooper & Cooper is a full-service residential real estate brokerage firm that's been in business for more than 17 years, handling thousands of apartment rentals and sales throughout Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens. I am so happy to have you both with us. Teah and Jordan, please join us.
Thank you, Melissa, for that wonderful introduction.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you. For those of you who don't know, Melissa is the Director of Alumni Programs, and we couldn't have done this without you. You're amazing. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And I'm going to hop off and let you two get to it.
Sure. Thank you. And good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here and making the time. My name is Teah Sisti, and I'm one of the associates of Cooper & Cooper Real Estate and a very proud UAlbany alum. Go Great Danes. I'm glad to be here. It's so nice to be back at UAlbany virtually. The talk that we're giving today is about the process of how to find a home to rent in New York City. The reason why we put this talk together is that there just aren't a lot of honest resources out there to help students who are graduating school and moving to New York City to find an apartment. The truth of the matter is that finding a home in New York City is not easy. It's hard. It's an involved, complicated process. There's a lot of paperwork involved. It's very different than renting a home anywhere else in the country. It's expensive. There's a lot of misinformation out there, misconceptions, and some illegal, unethical, and shady stuff. At Cooper & Cooper, we believe that there's a need for transparency. We believe that there's a place for a real estate company that is ethical, honest, and upright. After our talk today, you'll have a much better sense of what the process entails, what's involved, so that when you embark on your home hunting journey to New York City, you'll be much more savvy, sophisticated, comfortable, and confident in your process. Jordan?
Thank you, Teah. Good evening, everyone. Go Great Danes. I am not a UAlbany alum, but we are blessed with a wonderful teammate and colleague, Teah Sisti, who wanted to give back. And thank you, Melissa, for hosting us. We very much enjoy helping students who are recently graduating. Congrats and kudos to the class of 2021. For those who are gold alumni, we're delighted to be of help. And just so you know where my allegiance lies, I was told that one of the colors is purple, and I searched high and low my wardrobe to make sure that I was wearing purple. We are delighted to be here. And again, thank you to Melissa. Thank you to the alumni. Go Great Danes, go UAlbany. And we want you to know that you have a friend in Cooper & Cooper and a friend in Teah Sisti as you embark on the home hunting process. As Teah mentioned, finding an apartment is an involved, complicated process. There's a lot of, as my grandfather would say, ungepatchka, that's Yiddish for shenanigans, in real estate in New York City. And we want to make sure we shoot it to you straight, and that over the course of today, you're going to be more comfortable, more svelte, more confident in the process. And we look forward to being your guides, your Sherpas, as we present renting in New York, a practical guide. I had the good fortune of going to Harvard University. I majored in economics. I was a Wall Street investment banker. So if there are any finance folk or Excel dork or dorkettes on the line, we will bond over that. My work spouse, my brother Jeremy, he went to Columbia for his MBA, Northwestern undergrad, has a degree in meteorology of all things. And he also was a Wall Street investment banker at Bank of America. Teah, do you want to introduce your background?
Absolutely. Thank you, Jordan. So I graduated in 2017, summa cum laude. I was a double major in communication and psychology. I love Albany. I was very involved on campus. That's how I had met Melissa. I had helped out at various alumni programs. I had interned at the Albany marketing department. And when I first graduated, I was so excited. I landed my first big job in New York City. I couldn't wait to get here. I packed my bags. I was ready to go. And when I showed up, I was completely shocked by the market. I had no idea what I was doing. My starting salary at my job was definitely not very high, and I had no idea what a guarantor meant, I had no idea. So all of this being said, the reason that I got into real estate is because I really wanted to be a helpful touch point person to those who are new and coming into New York. It can be very involved trying to start a new job and find an apartment for yourself. So I would love to be a resource for you. So feel free to email me, call me, text me anytime. I'm happy to help, especially my fellow alums. So
perfect. Thank you, Teah. Just Cooper and Cooper, CNC, Cooper and Cooper at a glance. We're over 55 professionals. We've been around 17 years old. We just celebrated our 17th anniversary in February. I am here high atop One Penn Plaza. I hope you're enjoying the views. Those who will move to New York City, we'd love to welcome you to our offices. We just moved, and I'm giving you this talk live from the 53rd floor right above Madison Square Garden to give you a visual. We work with rentals in all price points. We have access to nearly every listing on the market, over 9,000 buildings, everything throughout Manhattan as well as Brooklyn and Queens. I threw in a little eye candy so you could see the good-looking airbrushed folk that are Cooper and Cooper. I promise these are all real people. I know it looks suspiciously like we hired professional models. That's me in the upper left corner. This is fortunately or unfortunately what it looks like in person. And that is our wonderful colleague Teah in the lower right-hand corner as well. Again, we have so many folk who are delighted to be of help, but we wanted to make sure that you knew that Albany alum, proud Albany alum, Teah Sisti, is at the firm. An outline of what we'll talk about today, what to think about when you're starting your apartment search, apartment shapes and sizes. We'll talk about square footage, floor plans, how apartments are laid out in terms of floor plan. We'll talk about the application process, what to think about when you're starting your search. And lastly, the real estate market, talk to you about next steps, a little bit about pricing, and we are going to do some polls. We're going to make this interactive, and I think, Teah, we are ready for our first interactive poll. What say you?
Amazing. Okay, so the first question of the evening, what New York City borough is your top choice? We have Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, Staten Island, and other. So submit your answers now.
Yeah, be sure to lock in your votes, folks.
Lock in.
We want to hear from you. Looks like Manhattan's pulling away. Brooklyn's catching up. We got a little Bronx. No love for other. We got it. We have 84% of precincts reporting. We've got it. Manhattan winner with a close second, Brooklyn. And then we have Queens and Bronx that are tied. Wonderful. Thank you, Melissa. Can we share the results? Is that what we do? Perfect. There you have it. The people have spoken. The people of Albany. Perfect. So what to think about when starting your apartment search, the subject of this section. So this is our fair island of Manhattan as I think what do we say? A plurality? What is it? A majority? Do we have a majority? This is our fair island of Manhattan. It is approximately 13 miles long by 2-3 miles wide. It's the most densely populated place in the United States, more than 70,000 people per square mile. So it makes for a very close and intimate morning commute. You'll see that area in green in the middle. That's what we have for trees. That is our fair Central Park. And want to talk about some of the sort of main lines of demarcation, the main areas. We have 59th Street that borders the park to the south. That is a border of Upper West Side, the West 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and hundreds, and the Upper East Side equivalent, the East 60s to the hundreds. These are two very large residential areas called sort of collectively Uptown. Many folk, many students think about living uptown in Upper West or Upper East Side as there's more apartments available. It's more dense in terms of inventory of apartments, and the prices tend to be a little bit better. The Midtown market, home to major businesses, home to Times Square, which is just over my left, this shoulder. You can see, let me get out of the way. You can see beautiful Times Square out into the distance. Times Square, home to many major businesses. We've got Ernst & Young, Morgan Stanley, bordered to the south by 14th Street. Midtown West, Clinton, the West 30s, 40s, 50s. We have Chelsea, the West 20s. The East Side, Midtown, Midtown East, East 40s and 50s. Murray Hill, the East 30s. We have Gramercy, the East 20s. The Midtown market. Some people think about Midtown being close to work, walking distance, etc. These are also the East Side, West Side, very dense and large residential neighborhoods. Lots of people choose to live on the West Side or East Side. Further downtown, bordered to the south by Chambers Street, we have some of the more expensive neighborhoods in the city: Greenwich Village, Soho, that's south of Houston, Tribeca, Triangle, Below Canal, Tribeca, East Village, Lower East Side, Chinatown, and then all the way at the tip of Manhattan, south of Chambers Street, we have Phi Dai. You want to be hip, you'll say Phi Dai, the financial district, BPC, Battery Park City. I work down there, home to my former employer, Goldman Sachs, many major businesses, law firms in the downtown business district. So what is the punchline here? When you're thinking about your search, have 2 or 3 neighborhoods in mind. Not a bad idea to have your sort of first choice, second choice, third choice. You may find that in your second choice of neighborhood, your third choice, there's a bigger apartment or better. You know, one of the lessons of today, I hope, will be the more open you are, the more we'll be able to see, the more flexible, the more open you are. This is really about doing due diligence. It's really about surveying the landscape. You know, we'd love to show you apartments and go boom, 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 and take a look at a number of apartments that meet our needs. So you'll be able to do the trade-offs of kitchens and bathrooms, location and building, and we'll talk all about it. But have a few neighborhoods in mind. Not a bad idea to survey the landscape and shoe leather, as they say, you know, a little pounding of the pavement. This is a map of our New York City subway system. I know to the untrained eye, it looks like a bunch of tricolor pasta, but I promise these are all real subways. We have the Red Line on the west side. The 123 is a main artery that goes down the west side of Manhattan all the way down to Phi Dai, the financial district. The 1 train is the local, makes every single stop. The 2 and the 3 is express, makes every 3rd or 4th stop. Very reliable subway train uptown and downtown. The equivalent on the east side is the Green Line, the 4, 5, 6. The 4 and the 5 is express, makes every 3rd or 4th stop. The 6 train is local, makes every single stop. These are very reliable trains uptown and downtown. Trains do go east and west. The 7 train with its extension to Hudson Yards. If anyone's working in Hudson Yards, the 7 train now curves into that area and goes across Times Square. You have the S, the shuttle. The L is the gray line that goes from 14th and 8th Avenue. They just refurbished it. It was out of commission for a year and a half, but it is back and beautifuler than ever. That goes across 14th Street out into Brooklyn. My favorite train, in case anyone was wondering, is the E train. The E train curves up, you'll see 8th Avenue, and goes curves across 53rd. So those working on the east side could live on the west side or vice versa. Trains do a very good job going uptown and downtown. These are some reliable ones that go east and west. And there's a bunch of other trains. There's the JMZ, there's the BDFM, there's also that NRW train in the middle, but to us true New Yorkers, the NRW stands for the N, the never, the R, the rarely, and the W, the whenever train for the frequency by which it arrives. Those who are tech forward may take advantage of some helpful MTA apps. I myself have them on my phone. Subway Time tells you when trains are coming to the minute. If you want to time your life to the subway system, we do not want to be late to work, to our first job post-college, or to a job that we want to impress folk and hopefully get more advanced projects and advancement at the company. Want to be on time. MTA Subway Time will help. And those who want to travel by bus, there's a very rigorous bus schedule. It's nice. It's above ground, air conditioned. MTA Bus Time, brought to you by the Metropolitan Transit Authority. So I'm going to say a few things today, T and I are, that may sound a little, as they say in Yiddish, fakakta, that's the strange, a little odd, a little cray-cray. Landlords look to fill out vacancy about 4 weeks out. So folks often ask, Jordan, Teah, when should I look to start a search? And the truth is that most people look, I know it sounds crazy, most people look about a month or so, 3 to 4 weeks before their desired move-in date. If you're looking to start a lease in May, we should look end of April if you want end of May. If we're looking in July, we should look in June. If you're looking to start a lease in September, we should look in August. Why? Because landlords generally only know with about 30 days to the end of the lease if the previous current sitting tenant is going to renew. Things happen. Maybe there's a little bit more, procrastination in New York City, a little maybe less civilized than other cities, but usually it's, we find out about vacancy as the brokerage community with about 30 days before the end of the lease. So the exception is new buildings. We work with every brand new building, but there's a lot of new developments that are, quite expensive, but we work with all the new construction, every major building and landlord, again, over 9,000 buildings in our Rolodex. How long does it take to find an apartment? I know it sounds crazy, but most people find an apartment in 1 day. Say what? Most people find an apartment in 1 day. We go out looking in the morning, 9, 10 a.m. We go boom, 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 boom. We see 3, 5, 9, 37, as many apartments that meet our criteria, one after the next. No food and water until you find an apartment that you like. I'm kidding. There'll be plenty of time for snack breaks. But most people, after they start looking for a day and they see 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 apartments, they find one they like. And by the afternoon, you could be applying for an apartment. Don't be surprised if we find an apartment in 1 day, but not to worry. If we don't find the right fit, if you're not quite feeling it after day 1, we'll go out again. We'll rinse, wash, and repeat, as the Head and Shoulders shampoo commercial taught me. We'll go out a second day, a third day, until we're happy. We want to make sure that our UAlbany friends, our UAlbany clients are well taken care of. One strategy point is that if you're able to look during the week, weekdays, not a bad idea. Please don't skip school. Don't skip your senior thesis or your graduation. Please, I can't be responsible for playing hooky. But if you're able to come to the city from Albany, if you have a little bit of a break, not a bad idea to stack 2-3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Most people in New York City do something called work during the week, and they go out looking on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday and Sunday are very busy days. So if we can gazump the Saturday and Sunday lookers, and if you could go out during the week, if at all possible, it may take some pressure off of the weekend. Also, just as a matter of, practicality, many landlord offices are closed on Saturday and Sunday. We show their apartments, but we don't know until Monday morning if our application submitted will go through, if it's really our apartment, because someone could have gazumped us late Friday, early Saturday before we saw it. So more transparency, more, quick to get a deal done if you're able to come during the week. But not to worry, we and Teah work 7 days a week. Every day, Cooper & Cooper is open. We go out Saturday, feels like Tuesday. Sunday feels like Thursday. And we're more than happy to help, not to worry. What you'll be asked, who is the apartment for? Is it for you? Is it roomies, roommates, 2 roommates, 3 roommates? Is it a couple? Is it partners, boyfriend, girlfriend, a family? Who is the apartment for? What size apartment are you looking for? Studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom? Have that in mind. We're going to have a poll, sneak peek. What size are you looking for? When are you hoping to move? This is a question of move-in date. You should know that I know other cities, civilized cities, the 1st, 15th, and 30th is when leases start. There is no magic to the day of the month. In New York City, leases start anytime. The 3rd, the 9th, the 37th, just kidding, the 15th, the 18th, the 23rd. Leases can start any day. There is nothing sacred or special about the 1st, 15th, and 30th. So we will negotiate and try to get the start date that you most want. Where do you want to live? Again, have a few neighborhoods in mind. Not a bad idea to have a first choice, second choice, third choice. Let's do shoe leather. Let's do our due diligence and make sure that you feel like you're making an educated decision and finding a place that you are happy with. How much can you spend? This is a question of price range, budget. 1,500 to 2,000, 2,000 to 3,000, 3,000 to 4,000. Have a number in your mind. And it's not a bad idea to look at some things below your price range. Maybe you really want a 1-bedroom, but a studio could work. Maybe you really want this neighborhood, but maybe you're willing to sacrifice for cost. Not a bad idea to see some things below, in, and a skosh, above your price range. It's like going to a bakery. Smells are free. We want to honor your price range, respect that. Not a bad idea to look at some things below, in, and again, a skosh above. Do you have any pets, any 4-legged friends, dogs or cats? Some buildings allow pets, some don't. Some allow cats, but not dogs. Some allow dogs, but only of a certain breed, a certain weight. You can't make this stuff up. We are more than happy to welcome you and Farfel to New York City. Please let us know if you have a pet. We're delighted to help. We've helped everything from snakes and lizards. I did an African Cape parrot that lives and flies around the apartment on 42nd Street, to your traditional, yes, dogs and cats. How is your credit? It will be run as part of the application process. Your income will be scrutinized. We'll talk about that. Guarantor, if you need one. Mom, dad, anybody can be a guarantor who earns the necessary amount. Mom, dad, cousin, uncle, grandparent, rich dudette. Anybody can be a guarantor, and we'll talk more about that. So wanted you to be prepared for what you'll be asked. Key considerations: price range, apartment size, as they say, location, location, location. Building type: the more open you are, the more we'll be able to see. New York City is a patchwork of different kinds of buildings. We've got walk-ups and elevator buildings, brownstones, townhouses, doorman, luxury, pre-war, post-war. Oh my. The more open you are to different types of buildings, the more we'll be able to see. What's included? Typically hot water and heat. Typically hot water and heat are included. You often will pay separately gas and electric through Con Edison. They're the 800-pound gorilla of the electric space. And of course, RCN or Time Warner, Verizon Fios, whoever wires the building. Blinds typically are included in luxury buildings. Sometimes they're not. So if blinds, apartment have a lot of windows, we'll need window treatments. That could be part of the cost to consider. A gym: some of the luxury buildings have gyms that are free or deeply discounted. We also have New York Sports Club, Equinox, Crunch. Can range wildly from $50, $60, $70, $80 a month to over $200 if it's a particularly shishi kind of gym. Building amenities: there's no end to the interesting amenities. Doorman, laundry, gym, lounge. Some buildings have a sun deck, get a little fresh air, bike room, storage, swimming pool. There's a building in Chelsea with a bocce ball court. There's a building on the Upper West Side with a dog run on the roof, a building on Broad Street in the financial district with a bowling alley. There's no end to the interesting, bizarre, weird amenities that exist in New York City buildings. But just know that, the minute I say the word doorman, we're talking about a meaningful premium, all things being equal, ceteris paribus, as the attorneys say, apples to apples compared to a non-doorman building. And I think it is time for our next poll. Miss Teah.
Thank you, Jordan. Okay, so what is your desired apartment size? We have a studio or an alcove studio, a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, you guessed it, a 3-bedroom, or a 4-bedroom.
If you select 4-bedroom, I am coming to live with you, so I hope you'll have a spare room.
Me too. I will definitely.
Lock in your votes, folks. We've got 76% of precincts reporting. Let us know. We want to hear from you. It looks like 1-bedrooms are the winner. We've got 1 studio. We've got 8 1-bedrooms. We've got 4 2-bedrooms. And whoever is the 4-bedroom, see me after class. Again, I'm going to expect visitation rights. Thank you for participating. Thank you, Teah. Apartments come in various shape and size. Apartments come in various shape and size. Here are the poll results. Studios range between 300 and 500 square feet. Have I seen them larger? Yes. Have I seen them smaller? Oh, yes. Not for my fellow Great Danes. 1-bedrooms. Square footage is this notion of surface area. It's the surface area of an apartment. What's better than 500 square feet? 600 square feet. What's better than 600 square feet? 700 square feet. But what square footage doesn't say a lick about is the layout, the floor plan. More on that in a moment. One bedroom's 500 to 800 square feet, two bedrooms, 800 to 1200 square feet. But again, you want to use the square footage number. Use that number in conjunction with the layout. Remember, square footage doesn't say anything about the finishes, the light, the views, the ceiling height, the location, the amenities. It is just one metric to use. So I wouldn't get too fixated on square footage. Let's take a look at a couple studio floor plans here. The one on the left is a straight studio, apartment A and B, two studios, both 500 square feet. But you'll notice that that layout on the left has this long meandering hallway. I mean, this gracious entry foyer. That was my best realtor voice. But is it usable? Well, maybe if you have a self-portrait or a Monet collection, maybe. But the one on the right is more efficient. All the square footage in the space. Again, these are both 500 square feet, but the usability, the layout, the floor plan is something to consider. The one on the left, this is a straight studio. CL is closet. We have a jargon all our own. LIN is linen closet. You can put your linens in there. The living space, more efficient, not a lot of maybe wasted hallway square footage. The apartment on the right is an alcove studio. The classic shape of an alcove studio is like the capital letter L. In this case, it's a reverse L. If there are any former chemistry majors in the room, those would be stereoisomers. And the nice thing about a alcove studio is you can tuck away your bed. So your bed is not front and center. We can dress it up with a couple of nightstands, a bureau, a couple of throw pillows. See, it's a nice place to live. An alcove studio is what we call in the business, an in-betweeny. I know it's technical. In between a studio and a one bedroom, we have duplexes, we have alcove studios. Apartments come in various shape and size. And New York City, again, because there's so many different kinds of buildings of various age and various construction, the more open we are, the more we'll be able to see. Alcove studio is perfect for someone that really wants a one bedroom, but maybe their budget isn't quite right for it, or they can save money by renting an alcove studio. You can put up a screen or a bookshelf, separate off the bedroom if that layout, could work. Let's look at some one bedroom apartments. The one on the left is a one bedroom. You'll see it has corner windows. It must get nice light. The apartment on the right is a specific kind of one bedroom that could be flexed or converted. When I say flex, I mean flexible. When I say C-O-N-V, convertible, flexible, convertible, what are we talking about? We are talking about the idea of putting up a pressurized wall. A wall. In New York City, you can buy just about anything, including a wall. I know it sounds crazy, but two roommates who really want a two bedroom, but real two bedrooms, maybe out of reach price-wise, a little expensive, or maybe you want to be a little bit more economical, you can rent a one bedroom, and if the building allows, put up a wall and convert it while maintaining the integrity of a living room space. You are essentially carving out a bedroom from the living room. So what is this idea? What are you talking about, Jordan and Teah? What is a pressurized wall? I'm glad you asked. And now, my fellow Great Danes, we have entered the program we like to call wallology, the study of walls. Walls look like this. Look down at these photos. This is a real wall. You can have glass put in, a glass transom across the top. Wall technology knows no bounds. Yes, what I'm telling you today is that people can take a one bedroom and they can have a wall put up. Dr. Wall, that's the name of a company. The Living Space, Metro Room Dividers, the New York Sliding Door Company. In my next life, I'm going to be in the wall business. There's a whole cottage industry of wall builders, and you can tell them where you want the wall in one day, half a day. They can put up a wall that looks like this. It costs between $1,000 and $1,500 to put up and to take down at the end of your lease. But there's an issue. Is it permitted? Some buildings do not allow walls. Some buildings say no walls. You can do a bookcase, you can do a freestanding art piece or a piece of furniture. Some buildings say you can build this full wall all the way up to the ceiling, but some say no, you can only do what we call a bookcase wall. A bookcase wall, yes, it has a bookcase, I guess the name. There's a door. It spans the width of the living room, but it doesn't go all the way up to the ceiling. It's only 7 feet tall. It does provide some privacy, as they say in Britain, privacy. But some landlords say if you want to build a wall, you can only do this bookcase wall. And some say no, if you want to do a wall, there's more, the Walkabout wall. It's two offsetting walls, as you'll see from the photo in the lower right. You walk around one wall, around the other. It does divide space. The upper right photo, you'll see it's head on. You can't see in. There's no door, and it doesn't go all the way up to the ceiling. Is this ideal? No. Is it better than bunk beds? Yes. And now you all have PhDs in wallology, the full wall, the bookcase wall, and a walkabout wall. If you're looking to convert space, two roommates can rent a one bedroom and flex it to two, called a flex two or a convertible two. Three roommates can do a two bedroom and flex it into three, called a flex three or a convertible three. The reason people do this is, again, to save money, because the difference between a flex 2 and a real 2-bedroom, a flex 3 and a real 3-bedroom could be significant. But why don't we go out and look at both? We can look at real 2s and flex 2s. We can look at real 3s and flex 3s. And then once we have a chance to do our research, you'll make the most educated decision. I think the section header is telling us that we are ready for our next poll.
Amazing. So what do you need to qualify to rent an apartment in New York City? 40 times the monthly rent, a good credit score, supporting paperwork, an application fee, or all of the above?
Lock in your votes. We have 59% of precincts reporting. Lock in your votes. What do you think? We'll give it another minute, and we're going to share the results. We have 72% of folks saying all of the above. That is the correct answer, and we are about to find out why. Again, thank you for the audience participation. The application process, what does that look like? When Teah finds you the right apartment, the first step is to apply for the apartment with an app. App is the hip way to say application, and the app fee, the application fee. The first step when renting an apartment is the app, the application, which is a 1, 2, 3-page document, name, social security number to run credit, where you live, where you've lived, where you're going to be working, your salary, and you'll sign and date the application, giving permission to run your credit. There's an application fee. Typically, it's between $20 and $100 non-refundable. Every applicant needs to apply. So if there's 2 roommates, 2 applications, 2 application fees. If there's 3 roommates, 3 applications, 3 application fee. That fee is used to run the credit and process your application. Think about an application as a call option. You have the option, but not the obligation to rent the apartment. And the option premium is the application fee. If there's one thing that Teah and I say tonight, it's preparedness. And we're going to talk a little bit more about COVID, the market, what we're seeing in New York City, because over the last several weeks, there's been quite a marked change with spring in the air, an hour forward with students graduating from around the country. Thankfully, with the advent of the vaccine and the rollout, acceleration, we are seeing a dramatic resurgence of the city, a bounce back, a homecoming of sorts, and we look forward to welcoming you to New York City. More on that shortly. What are the documents required? If we say one thing today that I'd like you to remember, it's the requirement of documents supporting paperwork. The landlord doesn't want to go fishing after roommate 2 or 3 for the documents. Having everything, as they say, yashar, yashar, that's Hebrew for straight ahead. Having everything, boom, lined up through the uprights. So what do you need? The offer letter on company letterhead stating position or salary, or a letter of employment from a boss. Pay stubs if you've got them. If you summered last summer and you earned pay and you're going back to the same company, those pay stubs from the summer of 2020 would be helpful if you have them. If you have a salary advance, that also would be great. And if not, no worries. You're starting a new job. You won't have pay stubs. It's not a problem. Bank statement, the thing you get every month in the mail, or you can download it from your portal. We want to see that you have some money in the bank. The landlord wants to see that you have enough funds to close the deal. Photo ID, driver's license, or passport that shows you are who you say you are, and tax returns. Again, since you've been students, likely some of you are just out of school a year or two, maybe you'll have tax returns showing some income, maybe you won't, but not to worry. If you're a new hire, if you're a new offer position, an offer letter, we help folk of all shapes and sizes. Anybody going to graduate school, we can help as well. Again, think of us as all-purpose real estate agents immobiliers. That's French for, I think, broken French. I'm born in Toronto, Canada. So if any fellow Canadians on the line, you can help me with my français. Tenants need to earn 40 to 45 times typically the monthly rent. If there's boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, spouses, we can combine income for all 2 parties, 3 parties, 4 parties to meet the 40 to 45 times income multiple. So let's say you're looking at a $3,000 a month apartment. To do quick math, you'll have to demonstrate about $120,000 to $135,000 of combined income. If you meet it, great. If not, there are a number of bells and whistles. What if your income is short? What if you have impaired credit? What if you have no credit? We have clients from around the country and around the world. If anyone is joining us who is foreign, I am foreign, not as sexy as maybe where you're from. I'm Canadian. It is what it is, but it's a fact. We have a relocation business where we help people from Asia and Europe and Australia, South America. Cooper & Cooper has international clientele on a regular basis. So again, more than happy to help depending on your individual scenario, and we can talk offline again about your individual needs. By the way, quick reminder, you can ask Q&A. Please submit your Q&A into the Q&A portal, into the Q&A widget at the bottom. You have to tap your head, rub your stomach, listen, and Q&A at the same time, and we're going to have a Q&A session when we're done shortly. If your income is short or you have impaired credit, there's a couple bells and whistles. One is a personal guarantor, a human who you know, brother, cousin, boss, doesn't have to be a blood relative, anyone who earns the necessary income. Typically, it's mom or dad, but again, it could be a grandparent, a brother, cousin, doesn't have to be, again, a family member. And secondly, there are institutions, believe it or not, companies, insurance companies, in fact, one called Insurant, one called The Guarantors, that can be your guarantor. Let's say your parents live in Hong Kong, your parents live in Buenos Aires. Guarantors typically need to be from the United States. So if you have, family who could be a guarantor but don't live in the United States, landlords in New York City won't accept them. So Insurant for a premium, the guarantors for a one-time upfront premium can act as your guarantor. Yes, you basically get a policy that backstops the lease. Many landlords accept this, some don't. So we'll talk again about your individual needs. There is a fee, there's a premium. It's paid to Insurant or the guarantors. We have relationships with these companies because this is a sort of more modern take on using a guarantor. They're a little bit more understanding, more welcoming than traditional landlords can be. Guarantors need to make 80 to 90 times the monthly rent. Why double that of a tenant? Well, the theory goes that a guarantor has their own bills to pay, right? They have their own mortgage, their own car payment, their own groceries before they may be asked to guarantee your lease. We'll need similar paperwork. So if you're going to be using a parent, mom or dad as your guarantor, make sure that you A, tell them you're moving to New York City, smart idea, and B, let them know what paperwork we'll need. We're going to need their tax return, their bank statement, their photo ID. Some parents, I've dealt with them over 2 decades. I know some parents are easy to get along with. Some parents maybe are a little bit more concerned about their financial information. And so please know that we take the highest levels of security and safety. It's on a need to know basis. And we understand their sensitivity there. All documentation should be produced quickly. The number one reason why people miss out on apartments is because they don't have all their ducks in the row. They don't have all their paperwork together. If you know you're moving to New York City, you should tell your guarantor if you need one. You should start gathering up your bank statement, letter of employment, and you should give, I hope you'll use us. You can give Cooper & Cooper, Teah, and me a call, and we're happy to start to talk through the process on how it works. At the lease signing, you'll need certified checks. What's a certified check? It looks like this. This is one on Citibank letterhead. You can't just write a personal check when you're applying for an apartment for the good faith upfront monies. They need to be certified by a bank. So if you bank at Chase or Wells or Citi, we can roll right into the bank branch and we can get certified checks right then and there. And if you don't bank at a branch in New York City, we, Cooper & Cooper, have an escrow, a holding account, and our clients from around the world or for convenience will wire us money. We have a holding and escrow account, and then we can cut certified checks on your behalf. You'll need the security deposit, which equals 1 month. That's upfront monies. You'll need the first month's rent upfront and the broker fee. So let's talk a little bit about brokers, broker fees. We want to make sure you understand how it works, that you're comfortable. Most brokerage firms, industry standard is 15%, 15% of the annual rent. Some brokers offer a discount of 12%. Between 12 and 15% is industry standard. The good news is that at Cooper & Cooper, we have a further discounted rate off of our already discounted rate. And for students, for the UAlbany community, our fee is only 1 month, 8.3% of the annual rent. It's nearly half of what other firms charge. And I hope it makes it easier to work with us. As a corollary, we also work with every building and landlord in the city, and some may pay a portion or all of our broker fee. And in those cases, we can present it to you as low fee, lower than 1 month, or no fee. No fee doesn't mean that we don't get paid. Unfortunately, we don't work pro bono, but no fee means that we've negotiated with the landlord to pay our fees. So we work with every no fee option, and the most that Cooper & Cooper ever will charge our UAlbany folk, our UAlbany clientele, would be 1 month, 8.3%. It's thousands of dollars less. And the secret here is that we have access to every listing. So it breaks my heart every year to hear that people found an apartment and paid 15% for a listing that we could have shown them, since we have access to every landlord and building. So don't get snookered into paying more than you need to. And again, happy to talk about fees together when we connect about your individual needs. You'll want to check the front page of the lease. Make sure that the name is correct, the apartment number is correct, rent and security as advertised, lease duration, start. You'd be amazed how often there are clerical errors. The intelligentsia hasn't seemed to gone into residential real estate. So there are clerical mistakes, there are problems and issues, and that is our job to make sure that up through the lease signing, we are there every step of the way, make sure the lease is correct, make sure everything is signed, help you with insurance, help you move into the building. You'll want to contact the building manager, super, for moving. You can't just show up at a building. Some buildings have strict hours, Monday through Friday, 9 to 4. Some don't allow Saturday and Sunday moves. Some say the moving company has to use masonite on the ground, have to pad the elevators. The certificate of insurance with additional insureds has to be sent to the building. So we will help through that process. And again, ensuring that you have a nice, smooth move-in. We are at section 4, the last section. Hold on tight just a little bit longer, and then we'd love to open it up for Q&A. Teah, our next and final poll.
Amazing. What is your desired price range? 1,500 to 2,000, 2,000 to 3,000, 3,000 to 4,000, 4,000 to 5,000, and 5,000 plus for the high rollers out there.
Yes, anybody in the whale category of 5,000 plus. Once again, we may be coming over. Lock in your votes, folks. I think we have 78, 82 now % of folks. Thank you for your participation. All right, we will end the poll and share the results. I'm getting the hang of it. It looks like 65% are in the 1,500 to 2,000. We have 30%, 2,000 to 3,000, and then 5% above. Thank you for your final participation. So the real estate market, how do we think about the real estate market? Well, here are typical price ranges. Again, these are just the sort of standard distribution. They go smaller, they go larger. Studios roughly between 1,900 and 3,000. We can show you studios for 16, 17, 1,800 or so on the lower end. In those walk-ups, elevator buildings, brownstones, townhouses. In the higher end luxury buildings, newer buildings, buildings with amenities, yes, people rent apartment studios for 2,900, 3,000, 4,000 plus studios. Remember, there are alcove studios, in-betweenies, one bedrooms on the low end. Yep, there are one bedrooms, 1,800, 1,900, 2,000, 21. Typical distribution, 2,400 to 4,000. Yes, on the higher end, people have spent $6,000 for a one-bedroom apartment. But again, we'll talk with you about your individual budgets and are delighted to help. Two bedrooms range wildly, again, on the low end, $3,000, $3,500 on the higher end in luxury buildings. Three bedrooms, see me after class. If you're thinking about per person, per roommate, per spouse, per partner, typically roughly on the lower end, $1,500. I've seen them $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 a man, a woman, a person. On the higher end, $2,000 to $2,200. So again, it ranges wildly. There's more inventory now than there's been before, but there has been a marked increase in activity. We are doing deals every day. We're very, very, very busy. Not what I could say about 2020 in August. I think I was twiddling my thumbs. It was crickets. But again, with all of the optimism in the air for various reasons, all the pent up demand, I'm going to coin a phrase, family fatigue. Any folk in the Gold alumni who were staying at home, etc. I know it's fun to be with mom, dad, and Uncle Joe, but sometimes you got to get life moving again and moving to New York City. So we've seen some family fatigue, and we're excited to welcome everyone to New York City. There really is a need for speed. I know I'm dating myself. You can see the gray hair. Top Gun. Yes, I think Maverick taught us the need. Is it Maverick? Lock in your vote and tell me who said the need for speed. I don't recall. Apartments do rent quickly, especially this time of year. If you're 85% sure you like an apartment, not a bad idea to put an application in on it. It's much better to wake up after sleeping on it and saying, Jordan, Teah, you're full of, I don't want the apartment. Fine, you don't have to take it. But waking up the next morning and saying, I want that apartment. I've been dreaming about that apartment, jumping over fences all night, tossing and turning, only to wake up and to find that the apartment is not available, that someone else has spoken for it. Look, we don't want to be serial applicationers, serial appers, but we do want, when we find the right apartment, yes, this is the market where we need to go for it. Weigh the risk of losing the apartment versus the application fee, and compromise in life. Have you noticed? Compromise in life, in real estate, is important. Make a mental checklist of things that are important to you, things that you must have that you want. And then make a list of things that, you'd like to have, but, maybe willing to compromise. We do sales. We'll talk about that in a moment. We have multi-million-dollar purchase deals where, look, even at that level, sometimes you don't get everything that you want. The trade-offs become apparent, again, when you do the shoe leather. A word about roommates, roomies, you know who you are. Talk amongst yourselves. Let's make sure that the whole rooming group is on the same page in terms of budget, price range, neighborhood. We'd love to have a Zoom session together with Teah and me and talk a little bit about, make sure we're all on the same page, talk about our needs. If it's possible, I know this is the era of social distancing. Of course, we are abiding by social distancing, mask wearing. We haven't had any issues, thankfully. We want to make sure we keep you safe. The nice thing about looking at apartments, it can be done virtually, and we'll talk about that. We have a full suite of virtual products, and we are absolutely showing apartments IRL, as you young kids say, in real life. If it's possible to have all the decision makers, we don't want extraneous people there for various reasons, but if it's possible that all two roommates, everyone is there looking, we can get excited about an apartment and get an application in, so that we don't lose out on an apartment to another applicant who has all their paperwork at the ready. Having it at the ready is critical. The number 2 reason why people miss out on apartments is they don't have all the paperwork. The landlord doesn't want to go fishing after you for your landlord reference letter, for your pay stub, for your photo ID. We want to have it all together like a burrito ready to go. And part of our job is to help prepare you. We like to look at all the paperwork ahead of time. If you'd like to scan it and email it to us, I like to look at all paperwork before you come and make the trek to New York City, before you come from upstate, Long Island, Pennsylvania, Hawaii, wherever you're coming from. We want to make sure the paperwork looks good, using our expertise and our experience to make sure we won't have any hiccups or issues when you arrive. Talk to your guarantors in advance. Again, let them know you're moving to New York City. We're happy to liaise with them. They can be involved in the first conversation. If mom and dad like to be involved, want to be involved, you believe that it's important to keep them in the loop as we do, no problem. We'd love them involved every step along the way. 4 or 5 roommates can be a challenge. Unicorns exist. I believe it. 4 bedrooms and 5 bedrooms are not a dime a dozen. They're at a premium. Space in New York City carves itself into studios, 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms, but there are larger apartments. If you really are a group of 4, if you really are a group of 5, let's just make sure we're a strong group. If we're able to get most of us looking together, all of us, a couple of us, we can also do remote showings with our camera. We can make videos. Again, if we're really a group, let's stick together. But, plan B is to, I know you may not like me to say it, but is to break up into a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom, a group of 2, a group of 3 in the same building, on the same floor. Again, we'll navigate the market together. Please call ahead. We're very fortunate and blessed that over the 17 years, we help many, many folk move to New York City. We speak at schools across the country. We have a global clientele. We are booking up May, June, July, August. If you know you're moving to the city and you're looking for an apartment and you'll be in town in end of April, I guess we are end of April, this week, in May and June, July, August, we have folk, lawyers who are taking the bar exam who will come see us in October, November, December. It's not too early to plan. We're happy to do a consultation. We're happy to get on a Zoom or a phone session together. There's no cost to talking with us. We'll make a plan. We'll look over your paperwork. There's no cost to doing that. We can show you apartments. There's no cost. There's only a fee, if there is a fee, unless it's a no-fee building, if and when we, Teah and me, when we find you an apartment. I want to make sure our Great Danes avoid scams. There's a lot of ungapachka, remember your Yiddish, a lot of shenanigans. Don't pay any money up front. It doesn't cost anything to go out looking at apartments. If anybody's trying to charge you for a consultation, for a conversation, to go see apartments, that is bogus. Please come back to CNC. Never give cash. In all my years, I've never had a reason to Ocean's 11 style a briefcase full of Ben Franklin's in a back alley. If there is a reason why someone's asking for cash, which is a little bizarro, please, by all means, get a receipt. Bait and switch. This is quite common a practice. Did you know that many common websites, including probably the one you're thinking about right now, charges brokers to put listings on their website? Brokerage advertising and websites out there are like the Wild West. WWE SmackDown, no holds barred. There's the bathroom of one apartment, the kitchen of another, and the lobby of a third. It's a collage. Creative, yes. Deceptive, deceitful, absolutely. Oh, I'm sorry, the broker will say. That's my broker voice. That apartment just rented, but have I got the apartment for you? If anybody talks like that, it'll probably give you the heebie-jeebies and set up your inner, your inner gut reaction to maybe I should ask a few more questions. Even more sinister, a broker may show you an apartment that does exist at a price that they make up, $2,000. Oh, I'm sorry, they'll say, right as you're leaving to go back to Albany, back home, and want to apply. The landlord just increased the price to $2,300 when it was $2,300 all along, because there's just so much interest, so much demand. Look, y'all are smart. If the apartment sounds too good to be true, if someone's saying I have a $2,400 2-bedroom, 2-bath in the heart of Manhattan, doorman luxury, ask if it's Manhattan, New York, or Manhattan, Kansas. Yes, that is a place. I wanted to introduce you to coopercooper.com. This is our website. I hope you'll find it to be a helpful resource. We are members of the Real Estate Board of New York of REBNY. By virtue of being a member of REBNY, we have access to all of the listings, and all of them feed to our website. What you are seeing when you create an account, which is free on our website, you will see all the listings that we can see. coopercooper.com. I hope you'll think it's a good-looking website, mobile-friendly, easy to use. There's a map you can pinch in, pinch out. You can see apartments and drive through streets. There are photo cards. You can flip, flip, flip. There are photos. There's thousands of videos and virtual tours. Over the last year, this industry has adapted, and we've done 3D models, videos, virtual tours from the comfort of your futon, from the comfort of mom's dining table, dad's dining table. You can see apartments and you can travel through videos. We can share them with you. And again, it's mobile friendly. I hope you'll take a look at coopercooper.com. Sign up. It's free. And you can look through inventory. If you see something, share something. You can share listings. You can save listings, and you can send me and Teah links and say, I like this one. I like that one. And of course, we're going to do our own manicuring and curation as well. Quick word about buying. Half of our business, Teah and I represent buyers all the time and sellers. If you or anyone you know may be thinking about buying an apartment, maybe mom, dad, or cousin are going to buy you an apartment or buy an apartment, you'll pay rent. again, when the time comes, 20% is required to put down. You'll think about if you're going to be living in New York City for the next several years. It may make all the sense in the world to buy if you're going to be living in New York City for the foreseeable future. Maybe cheaper to buy than to rent. Why? Because mortgage rates for those of us who study the market are at historic lows. Interest rates of traditional, conventional 30-year fixed loans are at 3%. Contrast that with 1981. Was anyone on the line born 1981? In October, interest rates hit 18.5%, a little history lesson. So if anyone's looking to buy an apartment, sales, we have a separate education, buying a home in NYC. We just did one. We had hundreds of folk on the line. We're happy to send you a recording of that talk if you'd like a sales, a buying education. It's really an exercise of seeing how much money you save in taxes, because a portion of your mortgage interest and a portion of your real estate taxes are tax deductible. And many people don't know, yes, when you rent an apartment, you pay a broker fee, or hopefully we can find a no fee or low fee option. But using a buyer's broker when you're buying an apartment is free. The seller pays the fee. It doesn't cost anything to have an expert set of eyes helping you navigate one of the largest, if not the largest, purchases of your life. And last but not least, my new Albany, my new Great Dane friends, if you're looking to find an apartment, buy, sell, rent, talk about apartments, CNC, Cooper & Cooper, we're happy to help. Renting is a large financial decision. Choose someone. You can use anyone you'd like. Choose someone who you feel is financially savvy, trustworthy, and nice. We all deserve to work with someone who's nice and not pushy, aggressive, argumentative. There's a lot of folk in the world like that. They seem to have drawn to New York City real estate. And so, my new enlightened renting friends, do Teah and I really expect you to remember everything we just spoke about? Of course not. But we hope you will remember who does. We're Cooper & Cooper Real Estate. Our website is coopercooper.com. You can call us. You can email us. I'm jordan.cooper@coopercooper.com. Teah is teah.sisti. Write it down. Type it. Are you ready? We can put it in the chat as well. Teah, T-E-A-H. Teah, Teah.sisti, S-I-S-T-I. Teah.sisti at coopercooper.com. You can also find her on our website. Go to coopercooper.com and type in Teah Sisti. She'll pop right up. We are new and improved. We just moved in the middle of a global pandemic. You know, a little stressful, but we're here. 1 Penn Plaza, 53rd floor. We're high atop Madison Square Garden by all the major subways. We'd love to welcome you, exchange a smile, share the lovely views. We are hip. We have Instagram. We have Facebook. You can follow us and see the articles and interesting exclusives. A quick word about COVID. We want to meet you where you're at. I know there are different feelings, different perspectives, and we honor all of it. We can do everything virtually. From the comfort of your home, we can share screens, we can Zoom together, we can flip through photos, we can share videos, we can go to the apartment for you and do a remote showing. We can FaceTime or Zoom with you and your roommates and do a remote showing. We can do hybrid, where we do looking online and narrow down to the 3 or 5 ideas, and then we go look at them in real life, all the way to real life. Yes, we are going out every day, pounding the pavement, looking at apartments. And again, we want to honor where you're at. If you'd like to do fully virtually, we are doing that. Leases remotely, board packages, etc. remotely. We can do a hybrid approach. We can do all the way in real life. Remember that we're walking from place to place. We're outside, we're distanced. When we go into lobbies or elevators, we'll go, then you'll go. So it actually is a pretty natural thing, in unlike other industries and businesses, for us to stay 6 foot socially distanced through our entire day, our entire search. I know that these have been challenging times. A shout out again to the very courageous class of 2020, class of 2021. We honor you for everything that you're going through. I know that life is, for all of us, turned on its head, but it seems like there are peaks of normalcy returning. Those alumni, alumnuses, how do you say it? We're delighted to be of help. If you're living in New York City already, or the surrounding areas, or anywhere in the world, we are delighted to help. I hope you found this education helpful. Please know we have recorded it and a recording will be made available. Thank you, Melissa. And if you'd like to type in any questions, Q&A, Melissa, if we're ready, I can stop sharing, show the rest of me and Teah, and we can maybe have a little Q&A. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that sounds great. And yes, I am so glad that we recorded this because that was definitely an action-packed 45 minutes to an hour. And I know people are going to want to go back and re-listen to some of the information that you shared. So I will get that link out to folks as soon as we have it ready. But we have a bunch of questions, so let's hop right in. I'm going to start with, is there a certain time of year when you're more likely to find lower priced rentals?
That is a very good question. Well, just like a snow globe, this year has been a snow globe where you shake it up and conventional things have been anything but conventional. So let me talk about normal times and then I'll talk about COVID times. In normal times, the frothiest, busiest times of the year are when people are graduating. April, May through October, November is technically banana time in the monkey house. People are renting, falling all over each other to rent apartments. New York City, thankfully, is a very vibrant, exciting city. I have been here the entire time during the pandemic. I love New York City. I've been here over 2 decades. I'm not leaving, but it has been a very challenging time. Landlords have given more incentives over the last year than I have ever seen in my career. 2 months free, 3 months free, 4 months free. My eyeballs popped out. Paying the broker fee, no fee on a 12, on a 16, on an 18, on a 24, on a 26-month lease. Everything has been on the table. But what we are seeing very steadily, and it's happening relatively quickly, is a dialing back. Landlords don't want to be giving free rent, and they don't want to cover the broker fee. And we are seeing a fairly marked march back to normalcy. So my word to folk would be, if you are thinking about moving to New York City, I would encourage you to think about moving sooner than later to try to continue to capture some of the high vacancy deals and concessions that we are seeing. Some landlords that we work with had 40, 50% vacancy. I mean, it was an absolute melee. But now, I had a building with 45 vacancies. We have 9 now, 45 to 9. I have some buildings that are fully leased up now. So if you're thinking about moving, there isn't a lot of, July versus August or June versus July. All of it is going to likely be busy. I would suggest getting in ahead of the rest of the, folks from around the state and around the country. Your Harvard, Yale, Princetons, your Emorys, your Stanfords, your Northwesterns all moved to New York City as well. So we want to make sure that we keep the New York home state advantage.
Sounds good. Well, we have an attendee who wants to know, are studio apartments cheaper?
Teah.
Yeah, so typically studios are going to be cheaper than a 1-bed. It really depends. There are certain neighborhoods where you can get a little more bang for your buck, but most certainly it's typical that a studio is going to be the best priced unit for you.
Studios range in shape and size. Remember, there are studios that are very small. So a studio, not all studios are created alike. We have a building, 85 John Street, that we represent. It's a lovely building in Phi-Di. Anybody who live downtown, work downtown. It's a lovely building with amenities. The studios are very large. They have nice closet space. Some of them are renovated, dishwasher, microwave, full appliances. So studios range in shape and size. So don't think just because studio, it means tiny. There are some generous studios, loft studios, alcove studios. Again, apartments come in various shape and size. And, I know it's a little scary maybe for folk, who have never lived in New York City before, who are excited to move, who haven't really experienced renting before on their own. This really makes a lot more sense when you just get here and start looking at places, or when we virtually just start flipping through apartments. And if you log into our website, you can survey thousands of apartments. It will sort of help to, I think, lower the anxiety level and up the excitement level. There are some nice apartments in New York City. And, I know the conventional wisdom is that there's, rodents or whatever. That's not the case. There are lovely apartments in New York City.
Okay, great. Lorraine wants to know, do you connect people for roommates? And if the answer is no, do you know of a service that does?
Yeah, so we don't, but a few words to the wise. The reason we don't is, you know, I don't know how to say this in the right way, but we're not personality matchers, and so we want rooming groups to come and they want to live together. I would feel terrible if I put you, in an apartment with someone who stays up all night watching, World Wrestling Federation. So what I would suggest is leverage the U Albany. U Albany is wonderful insofar as the alumni community is there. Post on your social media, ask your professors, find out who else from U Albany is moving to New York City, or even friends of friends. So the answer is no, we don't roommate match, but the smartest thing I can say is put feelers out. Maybe your employer, you're going to be working at XYZ Corporation. Maybe they know other people who are going to be moving. Who did you summer with? Did you summer with anyone virtually last summer? Maybe that could be, something smart. Someone from home, childhood friends. So often when people are looking for roommates, they often have more resources and more wherewithal than maybe you might think to find someone who you have a common connection and bond with, someone from where you grew up, a friend of a friend from Instagram, or a U Albany alum.
To hop in, I know that there's a lot of really wonderful Facebook groups as well. That's kind of the route that I took when I moved to the city. So the U Albany class of 2020, of 2021, if you look in there, I'm sure you're going to start to see a lot of people asking, hey, is anybody moving to New York? So that could be a great resource as well.
Great. I think you got a handful of great suggestions there. So, Jordan, you had mentioned something about pests just a minute ago, and one of our alums is asking.
I scare people?
Yeah, no. Well, I don't know. Do you have any tips to find an apartment that has no pests? So somebody maybe sounds like they're looking on their own.
I'm gonna say something that may shock people, but the subway is one thing, but apartments is very different. In my 20, I don't know how many years now, I've been doing this. I have never, ever seen a mouse in an apartment. I've never, ever seen one. Now, I've seen mouse traps and I've seen holes and then they get filled, but most buildings exterminate regularly. So they have weekly or monthly extermination. And you can go online and do some research about the landlord, about the building. And also we can tell you, because we've worked with all the major buildings and landlords, we're happy to put you in touch. If we know someone who's living in the building or with the landlord, we're more than happy to put you in touch. Our MO, and I hope this is reading, is that we want you to be happy. We want you to have a wonderful experience in New York City. It doesn't do us any good to put you in an apartment that you're not happy with. What do they say? You like something, you tell 2 people. You hate something, you tell 20. And we're hoping that when you're captains of industry, my U Albany friends, that you're going to buy your $10 million, brownstone with Teah. So, we want to make good, because karma, comes around. So I would suggest, you can look at an apartment and see, obviously there are holes in the baseboards, or the apartment seems a little bit more sort of run down. There are some visual clues. But we can also ask the landlord, have there been any issues in the building? How often is extermination done? But this is really the most I think I've ever talked about, this kind of thing on a webinar. I brought it up. So
then let's move on, because we still have a handful of questions here. Do you think it's important to visit an apartment at different times of the day and week to really get a feel for it?
Teah.
Yeah, so as Jordan had kind of touched on before, especially if you're coming into tour, weekends are very busy, so weekdays are definitely ideal. I wouldn't say that there's specifically a day in mind. I don't know, Jordan, if you have anything to say about Monday versus Tuesday versus Wednesday. But I think pretty much any day of the week is fairly safe to get out and see a ton of apartments.
And because apartments turn fairly quickly, if we go out during the day and we see something and at 2 o'clock we're applying, not a bad idea. If you want to feel the apartment later that evening, we go back and see if we can get into the apartment. I think, now the days are getting longer. I think it's like 7:45-ish or so as to when the sun sets. But yes, I have buyers on the sales front in particular who want to go back in the morning, see what the morning light looks like, in the evening light. It is not common among renters to do that type of careful due diligence, but I'm all for it. If that will make you happy and it will make you more comfortable, let's go back a second time, look at it in the early morning. Let's go, that evening and look. But, we won't be able to dilly-dally too much. Once we apply, usually it's 24, 48 hours before the paperwork is in, you're signing leases. This is not like a week process. When we apply, we get approved in an hour, in 2 hours, half a day, the next day, we're signing leases done. So, we'll want to compress some of that due diligence, but we can certainly do it concurrently with the app going in.
Okay. All right. Here's another question. Great presentation. That's not a question. That's a comment. I've been browsing apartments via Street Easy, and I see a lot of apartments with a price and then a quote net effective rent price. Can you explain this?
Do you remember I talked about websites that, at any rate, you can refer to my earlier comments. This website that you're alluding to is a site that many people don't know. Brokers have to pay. Brokers have to pay to use the site, and people don't know. It's not advertised. So number one, it is not the sum total of all apartments available, because if I'm a broker and I have 10 apartments, why am I paying to put all 10 up? I'll put 1 or 2. The fact that people have to pay lends itself to shenanigans, let's just say, and people advertising things that aren't right. But the questioner's question is really about gross rent versus net rent. The gross rent is the big number in black that you'll see. The net rent is inclusive of 1 or 2 months free. So there are several questions that get asked. One is, how long is the lease? Is it 12 months? Is it 13 months? Is it 14 months? So question 1 is, how long is the lease? Question 2 is, which months are free? The 1st and the 2nd, the 3rd and the 9th, the last 2. And the most important question, I would say, is, can I pay the net effective rent? Can I pay that lower amortized net effective rent? Sometimes the answer is yes. Landlords will let you pay the net effective, and sometimes they will not. But long-winded answer is that the big, bold number is the gross rent, the face rent, and the net effective is inclusive mathematically, amortized with the free rent. Again, there are a number of questions, that begs. I would ask the questioner, if you see anything on that website or elsewhere, if you want us to sanity check it, you can just email me or Teah the listing. We'll tell you if it's real. We'll tell you if it's legit. Many brokers advertise on that site and want to charge 15% of the annual rent when we could show it for only a 1-month fee. So again, people sometimes get snookered because they think that because they see a broker advertising an apartment, they have to work through that particular broker. And that's not true. We all have access to everything.
Okay. Yeah, that's really good to know. I don't know that I would have known that either. Okay. Another question. If you're living with other roommates, does one person need to pay rent to the landlord, or can each roommate split their pay?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a great question. I actually just got 5 roommates in an apartment, so this is very timely.
The unicorn.
It's the unicorn. There you go. So what I advise is typically, it's one lump payment per month. So a lot of times people want to put in little payments here and there, but obviously that would be a lot to handle. So typically roommates, what I advise at least is to designate one person to make the payments, and everybody can Venmo, Apple Pay, give cash, whatever you want to do. Jordan, I don't know if you have anything else.
Yeah, I would say there are a lot of landlords that want one check. They don't want to start adding numbers, and if the pennies don't tie, now they have a clerical problem. There are many landlords that will specify in the lease one check in the name of a tenant. So in most cases, you would designate one person, the other people would pay that person, and whoever the ringleader is on payment would pay. I think that that's also smarter from the tenant's perspective, because if 3 people are mailing or Venmoing, there's a higher risk, more moving parts, more chance for error. So I would say designate one person to pay the rent, pay that lump sum so it's very clear that the rent is being paid on time, no adverse effect from the landlord, and you don't have to worry about the pieces.
Okay. Rose would like to know, isn't there an official cap on the cost for applying for an apartment at $20, or is this only for affordable housing?
Yes, Rose is absolutely correct. The reason I put 20 to 100, Rose is calling me out and I appreciate it, is because there are shenanigans. But yes, Rose is right. In July of 2019, remember that year? In July of 2019, the HSTPA was passed, the Housing Stability and Tenant Protection Act. How about them apples? and it regulated upfront payments, Rose. You're absolutely right. No landlord is allowed to charge more than $20 per applicant for credit check fees. Now, they find other ways to call fees and name fees, but traditionally, landlords should only be charging $20 for a credit check fee. You're absolutely right, Rose.
Thanks for clarifying that. One of our attendees tonight says, I see a lot of empty apartments in the buildings I'm interested in. Is it ever possible to negotiate rent price?
Teah.
I'm the negotiation queen. That's kind of my little tidbit there. I think that there's always room for negotiation. And the beauty of what we do is, again, we're part of REBNY. We have an internal database. So we know these landlords. We've worked with them. We have good relationships with them. And we know, okay, I've never seen this landlord go above this amount. So that's kind of another added bonus of working with us is there's always a little wiggle room, but not to say that sometimes they're very firm, but we will certainly do our very best to get you the best deal possible.
To get in the mindset of a landlord is a whole nother thing. There are very, very wealthy landlords that own many buildings at the extreme. Do not negotiate price. The building could be on fire with vacancies and they will not reduce, not even $25. It never made sense to me. Again, I was born into the wrong family. But there are many landlords, yes, if you see more vacancy, we are going to know because we get the inventory list. So the questioner is exactly right. If you see more vacancy, yes, we may be able to go for the jugular and we may be able to get a little more off the price. Historically, $25, $50, $100, but on more expensive apartments, maybe $5,000 turns into $4,800, $4,700. But again, with each passing day, as landlords are getting healthier and the market is getting stronger, there's less leverage for tenants, but it really depends, right? Neighborhood by neighborhood, landlord by landlord, and most importantly, building by building. And yes, we negotiate prices. Our job is to get the best lease start date and the best terms that we can, but just realistically, $2,500 doesn't become $2,000. Landlord just, is not going to drop their drawers like that, especially now with the health market coming back. But if we can get an extra 2 weeks free, if we can get $100 off the rent, if we can get another month free, whatever we can do, we're happy to ask. And we are obligated to ask. We have a fiduciary obligation to it. And yes, Teah is the negotiation queen. I can attest.
All right. We're going to do just a couple more questions. We're already at past 8:15, but still a lot of questions for you. One of our attendees wants to know, do you work solely in New York City? I'm also interested in Hoboken.
Yes. Fortunately, unfortunately, we are licensed in the state of New York. Our license from the Department of State is only for New York, and we are not allowed to practice in the great garden state of New Jersey. But we have a brokerage relationship with an excellent agent in Hoboken. Please email me and Teah. And if you're interested in Hoboken, Jersey City, Weehawken, in the areas in New Jersey, insert my New Jersey joke here, we are more than happy to give you a reference for a reputable broker in New Jersey.
Okay. Here's another. Can you get deals in the financial district?
Teah?
Absolutely, you can. I just toured in the financial district this week, and we viewed some beautiful luxury buildings offering 1 month free, 2 months free. Again, we are starting to see a bit of a pullback of that. But all that being said, I think that there's deals to be had everywhere. So FIDI, Upper East, we are here to help.
I used to work in FIDI. When I was at Goldman Sachs, we were at 85 Broad. I know, and we know, Teah and I do a lot of work in FIDI. There are a lot of very nice buildings in Battery Park City, in Battery Park, in the financial district, luxury buildings, doorman buildings with gyms and lounges and golf simulators. There are lovely converted office buildings. We work with every major landlord and building. And yes, because there are a number of major buildings, dozens of them, in fact, they pit against one another and there's sort of a race for the bottom. So if you're shopping in FIDI, let us tag along. We'll line up the best buildings down there, and it's very likely that we'll get a very good deal.
All right, I'm going to make this our last question, but I know there are a couple more questions out there. So I'm going to suggest to those of you, if I didn't get to your question, please email Teah, and I'm sure she'd be happy to respond to your question. And again, I will provide that email to you in a follow-up email. So, so our last question for tonight, any tips on the New York City lottery process for affordable housing?
Ooh, It's a very good question. The honest truth is that we don't know a lot about the lottery process because it is handled by a separate government agency that handles that process. There are 80-20 buildings where 20% of the units in those buildings are for affordable housing. I believe there's an application process. My understanding is that it's a fairly lengthy process. There's a fairly long wait. But developers who have built buildings, there is a pool of the 20 of the 80-20 that are very good prices if you meet the criteria. There are income requirements for single professionals, for couples, for families, etc. And again, there is an affordable housing office. It's a separate agency that handles it. Unfortunately, we have no involvement with that. It's government run. It's a separate entity. We deal with all of the free market apartments. Now, we do deal in rent stabilized apartments. Rent stabilized apartments are a population of apartments whereby they are subject to rent stabilization, and landlords can only increase the rent by certain percentages as deemed appropriate by the rent guidelines board each year. They're somewhat rare, but there are rent stabilized apartments that we do work with.
All right, fabulous. Well, Teah and Jordan, thank you so much. I mean, really, this evening was just packed with so much information, and I'm sure there's things you never even got to, but I do encourage anybody who's interested in knowing more or is planning on looking for an apartment in New York City to reach out to Teah and use those resources and those alumni connections. I will be following up with all of you in the next couple of days with some additional information. But thank you so much for joining us tonight. And thank you, Teah and Jordan, really so much for coming and sharing your expertise and your insights with us tonight. So
thank you very much, Melissa, and congratulations again to all the recent graduates. And please know that New York City, it's a wonderful place to live. It is a vibrant place, and like all places, I know we're all hurting from the pandemic, but onward and upward together, we will get through this. I think hope and confidence and optimism is in the air, and I think we can see the light hopefully at the end of the tunnel. And we look forward to welcoming you to New York and helping in any way that we can, even if we're not the broker involved. We'd love to answer your questions, and I hope you'll give us a chance to work together.
Sounds good. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night.